indigestion. Now, it's something that everybody experiences, all right? And so we want to find out basically what is it that we need to know about what causes it, how to deal with it when it happens, and even how to live in such a way that you don't ever have to experience it. Is that even possible? Well, we've been joined this morning by Benedicta Kasiwa Ado. She is a registered dietitian, and she's also a clinical dietitian and a researcher with Diet Right Ghana. Benedicta, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Wonderful. I'm very good, thank you. All right, so what is indigestion?
Okay, so indigestion is a term that is used to describe a number of symptoms. Clinically, we will call it dyspepsia. So it's when you have, sometimes you feel very full, you feel bloated, you can have this abdominal pain that is from beneath your breastbone to around your umbilical cord. Some people can have a number of symptoms from nausea, vomiting, having heartburns, etc. All these are the symptoms that are described or termed as indigestion. Okay. And they can be a symptom of a condition or a condition itself.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. So sometimes you can have an illness, and as a result of the illness, you're experiencing indigestion.
These things that look like indigestion.
Oh, I see. I see.
So sometimes the fullness, the bloating, the gas, all those things.
Yeah. Okay. So typically, apart from illness, what causes indigestion?
Indigestion. Yeah. So there is indigestion that really has no cause, but lifestyle, so let's say when you overeat, sometimes when you eat too much, you can tell that it's like things are not really going well with you. When you eat a lot of fatty or greasy foods, some people eat very fast, as in they don't take their time to chew whatever they're eating.
Like me.
We have to repent. And then sometimes you have, these symptoms of indigestion, repeated use of certain medication like the NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen and the like.
They can cause it?
They can cause some of these symptoms. Some health conditions like peptic ulcers, IBS, that's the irritable bowel syndrome, all of them can also lead to some of these symptoms of indigestion. So if you are, when you experience it a day or two, it's something you can experience occasionally through to every day. Some people have it all the time. So if you have it for more than 2 weeks, then you really have to see a doctor to find out the root cause, because your cause may not be the same as another person's cause of indigestion.
I see. Now, what would you say are the things that we should avoid if you find that you're somebody who experiences indigestion? What should you look out for? What should you avoid?
Okay. So I would say first off, the best thing is to see a doctor so the diagnosis is made. Sometimes they take some lab samples. It could be in the form of stool, and then check if you have some bacterial infection, typically the H. pylori. Other times they may do some x-rays to find out what is really happening with you. Other times is the endoscopy, where a tube is passed through your esophagus with a camera at the tip of it. So we see what is really happening in your body. So if you have the kind of indigestion that looks like it's very persistent, you have to see a doctor for proper diagnosis to be made. If you're having any bacteria, like I said, the doctors will treat it before we look at the classical symptoms. Management is not always via medication. So I think that is when we come in as the dietitians. So for instance, if your indigestion symptoms come up when you do a lot of milk products, probably because you are lactose intolerant, then you have to start minding how much of milk or dairy products that you eat. Sometimes there's what we call the dosing. So let's say you take a teaspoon of milk, you're fine. You take 2, you're okay. But the moment you take half a tin, you have all these symptoms. That means the maximum you can take is the 2 teaspoons that your body is able to tolerate. You get it. Some people experience it when they take a lot of caffeine. Typically, in the corporate world, you are working, you're busy, the coffee is in a jug, you keep pouring and pouring and pouring. And then over time, you realize when I take my coffee, I experience these things. You have to because excessive use of caffeine can lead to that. Some people experience it when they take carbonated drinks for a long time. So if you're that kind of person, that means you have to desist from that practice. Other people experience it when they take what we would call spicy foods. So spicy in the sense that it has a lot of spices generally, all the forms, natural, artificial. Some people too, just by virtue of how peppery the meal taste, they get these symptoms. Other people, sedentary lifestyle and obesity. So if you think you are on the big side of your weight, it's also good to work on your weight. It's been shown to help reduce some of the symptoms of indigestion. If you eat too fast, it's advisable that you start to eat slowly. You chew your food properly. If you're lazy like me, you can go for what we call the soft diet or the soft meals. So instead of going for maybe very hard plantains, you can do mashed plantains. Instead of cooking the rice for it to be, you know, very grainy, you can make it a bit sticky so that eating is. But the best thing is to slow down. At least 30 minutes per meal is expected.
You should spend 30 minutes eating food.
So that you can chew properly. You know, sometimes you are busy, you just want to go up something down.
I got that time. You're going to sit down for 30 minutes eating food.
Well, indigestion has time for you. So then the best thing is to, you know, make time. Sometimes plan your day ahead. Don't always be in a rush because the symptoms are very uncomfortable. You're in a meeting, you feel bloated, you know, you're belching. All those things are very, very uncomfortable.
Do people sometimes get symptoms where you even have pain in the chest? So much that it actually, I mean,
like a heart attack.
You've not had a heart attack before, so you don't have any idea what it feels like. But it has pain in the chest so much that you start to wonder, hey, is there something wrong with my heart? Do people have that kind of thing before?
So there's what we call the gastroesophageal reflux disease, shortly called GERD. And then that is when you're having the acidic contents of the stomach coming up your esophagus. So for some people, when they have indigestion, they experience this reflux. And then the pain can be described, like you said, like you're having a heart attack or something, but it's not a heart attack. And then mostly they say they feel it behind the breastbone or they feel it like around the chest. If you're that kind of person, you have to start seeing your dietitian, seeing your doctor so that we work on what really is the cause. If it's H. pylori, you are treated and then we modify your diet, etc., to put you on a safe side. Some people would also say they don't really have the heartburn, but then they feel this burning sensation after they eat, or they feel very full. So maybe on a typical day, you can do a bowl of kinky, but all of a sudden you do a quarter and you feel too full. It's not your regular fullness. That is also another classical symptom some people have. And then
so in that case, what's going on? Because you eat a quarter of a bowl of kinky, which means your stomach itself is actually not yet full. But you're feeling
because of the bloated. The bloating. So you're having gas, you're bloated. So it's like your tummy is full, but you're not actually full. And then when this happens for a long time, for some people, they're unable to eat properly. So undernutrition begins to set in, but that's not very typical. But sometimes it can be the case. Another thing about indigestion is the symptoms that we are describing can lead to other things. So for instance, if you're having the reflux and then we are not doing anything about it and you have GERD, it can lead to constricture of your esophagus and then that's going to be more complicated. So why don't we, the moment we have the symptoms, get intervention so that we don't have any complications.
I tend to find that liver salts do wonders whenever I feel any sort of heartburn or indigestion. Liver salts do wonders. Is there science behind this? Is there?
Yes, so liver salts, antacids, they are like the over-the-counter drugs. But if you ask me, I don't advise that you do those things all the time. Then we are not finding the root cause. So every time you feel something, you take a liver salt, you take a liver salt. What if it's an ulcer you are having? And then by the time we find you have an ulcer, it has become something else. So a day or two, yes, but then it's best to see your doctor. And then we find the root cause and treat accordingly.
Fantastic. How do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about indigestion?
So you can get in touch with me on my personal line 0548984996, or you can get in touch with me through Instagram, Mami_Kesewa.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. This has been insightful. I appreciate it. Yeah,
You're
because
welcome.
got to make some changes. Yeah.
At least eat slowly, 30 minutes.
That's one. I wonder. All right, so we've been having a conversation about indigestion, and Benedicta Kesewa-Addo has been enlightening us on these various things that we need to understand about indigestion. Take your time and eat slowly. Advice to David Kweku Citi.